What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 22. Last time out we were at the Dutch Grand Prix, and if you haven't watched that race yet, I would highly recommend it. It was so exciting. I lost my voice. I won't spoil what happened, but you may get clues to it at some point in this video. I don't know. So if you haven't seen it, definitely recommend going and watching that. This time we've got the Italian Grand Prix, very neutral race for me. It's basically just a bunch of straights with a few corners mixed in for good measure. If our car has good straight line speed, we'll probably do well. If our car doesn't have good straight line speed, we probably won't do well. So I guess we'll find out. Just as a note, I have a bit of a sore throat at the moment, so if my voice does go and I sound a bit sort of rough during this video, I apologize. Hopefully you can still hear me alright, but I wanted to get these videos out. I've been having a blast making them, and I don't want to slow down just because I'm a little bit under the weather. So we're going to get into the race weekend proper. We did a marketing department upgrade. I thought it was about time that we started trying to boost our team acclaim a bit more. I feel like we're stagnating there a little bit, so I'm hoping that with a little boost to our acclaim that we're earning, we might be able to get closer to that coveted level 25 in that final sponsor, which is gonna do wonders for our development in the future. First practice session was pretty neutral. We got P3, but I mean, it's practice. It's never necessarily representative of the pace that you are going to show in qualifying or in the race. So I'm never going to read too much into these kind of things. And I mean, even Piastri was only 7/10 off the lead, and something tells me that's probably not going to ring true in the actual qualifying itself. But I've been wrong about these things before, you know. So yeah, we're getting into the sort of close towards the tail end of the season. As I'm recording this, I've only got 6 more races left to record, because I usually record a couple in advance before I do the sort of voiceover for them. And I'm pretty excited. You know, I think it's mostly going to be bangers. I think we've got Japan, Portugal, Mexico, USA, Brazil, Abu Dhabi, and of course this in Singapore if you're watching. But still, yeah, not much to go in terms of what's left to do this season. And yeah, all I want now is to just wrap up this fight for P5 in the constructors as quickly as possible. You know, we're pretty ahead of Alpine at the moment, especially off the back of the result in the Dutch Grand Prix. Which, if, like I said, you haven't seen it, go do that. I'm not gonna avoid spoilers any further. So if I do reference it at any point, that's on you. So yeah, we're into qualifying now, and the first order of the day is just getting out of Q1. You know, we don't always make it into Q3. A lot of the time we do, but we should always be making it into Q2 as a matter of habit. We're currently P17, so we're actually right on the bubble, but we are improving by about 3/10. I hope it's going to be good enough. We'll find out. It's good enough in the end for P15. Okay, so that's not too bad. We just about make it through, although it's a bit hairier than I would have liked to be, in all honesty. I was hoping we'd be sort of like, you know, at least like 12th or something like that. We knocked Gasly out, which is nice, because he's been a bit of a rival of ours this season, along with Alonso. They've sort of been the two main, even if I hadn't had a rivalry with Gasly in the formal sense, I feel like Gasly and Alonso are the two drivers I've been comparing myself to for most of this season. So if I can outdo them, that would be the sort of ideal situation. Here we are now in Q2, and we've got our first flying lap on a used set of tyres, so don't expect any miracles here. And we do a 120.1. That's not going to be good enough to get us out. I'm fairly confident of that. I think we need to see major improvement on our second flying lap, which we're going to start now. There's about a minute left to go in the session. Hopefully we don't get held up by the McLaren in front of us. Something tells me that's not going to be an issue. Hopefully we don't get caught by the Ferrari behind us, because that could screw our lap as well, potentially. Even if it screws his as well. We shall wait and see what happens with that. But yeah, generally we're making improvements as we come through the first sector of the lap. And we'll see if the improvements are going to be enough to get us into Q3. I'm not overly optimistic. This is never typically one of our stronger tracks. You can see that between Sector 1 and Sector 3, somehow we've gone up from P16 to P14. I don't know what happened with Joe and Sonoda, but anyway, Sonoda's now improved, so maybe they had lap times deleted that were being investigated or something, I don't know. So yeah, if we want to make it out, we've got to do even better now. We're only improving by sort of about 3/10. That's about as good as Leclerc's flying lap and Tsunoda's first flying lap, but we'll see. It's P13 in the end, so not a terrible result, but maybe a little bit worse than I would have liked. I'm not gonna rue that too much because you know, I wasn't really expecting it. Maybe the big shock is that Russell is knocked out in Q2. It's not overly shocking, but yeah, he was just on the bubble, and if it hadn't been him, it could have been Hamilton or Verstappen. Magnussen has done a fantastic job there to get through. Other people eliminated, Tsunoda, Albon, you know, nobody that you're too surprised by. Although that said, Albon has been having a fantastic run of results recently. You know, he's been getting into the points consistently in a Williams, which is quite impressive to do, and we'll see where he can finish in the championship at the end of the season if he keeps up this sort of run of form. I mean, I don't know if he'll be grabbing points in a race if he's starting from P15, especially at Monza, where, I mean, if his straight line speed is good, then maybe, but we'll see. Piastri gets more expensive, that's awesome, and yeah, our team moves ever closer to that coveted 19th, level 19, and with it, level 25. I don't really know what I'm saying now, but yeah, we can see if we can do something in the race. If we're not fast in a straight line, which I don't think we are overly fast in a straight line at the moment, then we could be facing some difficulties potentially. I think we might be looking at getting another upgrade on the car before the race begins here, because we've got the resource points for it. And I reckon if there are regulation changes that come announced at Singapore, this might be the last upgrade we do for the season. Everything else will just be covering things off. Anyway, it's now time for us to get into the race.
It's time for the Italian Grand Prix once again, here at the beloved and iconic Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. With the lowest downforce and drag of any circuit in the season, expect to see drivers making the most of the slipstream effect here today. We're 12 miles northeast of Milan for today's Grand Prix at a Monza circuit where we can expect top speeds of around 215 miles per hour. 11 corners on this 3.6 mile track, with 7 of those coming in the form of chicanes. And with a good slipstream and DRS open, there should be plenty of opportunity for some passing here today. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Leclerc, Fernando Alonso and Ocon, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Hamilton and George Russell, Mick Schumacher, Verstappen. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Robinson and Tsunoda, Albon, Joe, Pierre Gasly and Sebastian Vettel, Schwartzman, Oscar Piastri, Stroll, they've taken a grid penalty, and Nicholas Latifi. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. And alongside me once again for coverage of today's race is none other than the great Anthony Davidson. We should talk about Williams. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Max Verstappen's given up on this championship, taking a grid penalty here, and we're going to go on an aggressive strategy again, like we did in Budapest and in some races this season. We're going to do soft medium. We'll see if it pays off for us. I think, you know, if there's a safety car, which there isn't always at Monza, typically people keep it quite clean. If there's a safety car, things might go quite well. Lining up on the grid now, we'll see if we can get a solid parking to elevate our chances of overtaking off the start. It's only 0.3, but not bad. I have had a few 0.1s, but not to be on this occasion. And here we go, the lights come on. And the lights go out. So here we go. We are battling with Verstappen off the line. It's not a fantastic start, especially considering we were on soft compound tyres. And yeah, you'll see that Verstappen just starts to pull away from me. It's a long run down to turn 1, and you see I'm now being challenged by Gasly. I broke quite early there to avoid hitting anyone, and now I'm going to try and go around the outside of a few cars here. We'll see if we can make it work. I think that's Schumacher we're trying to go outside of, but he gets the superior traction. Gasly's got superior traction over us as well, so he's going to be side by side with us as we come through this corner. And yeah, we're now kind of falling down the order a little bit as we get challenged by one of the Williams. I think that's Latifi or Albon, not sure. And there's a bit of a crash, there's contact there. It wasn't me. I've had to take evasive action, but you can see I think that's Gasly is out of the race. He had a massive crash there. We'll see what happened. So yeah, I had to take evasive action. This is the onboard with me now. I had to take evasive action to avoid going into the back of Tsunoda. And yeah, Gasly had a big crash at that chicane. I don't know exactly what happened, but I guess yeah, he just got caught in the pile up and had nowhere to go and ran into the back of someone. But yeah, that is a safety car. It's probably a little bit early for us to try and do a strategy gamble. We could go on to a set of hards and try and go to the end, but I'd only really do that if we had damage and we needed a front wing change. We've taken some floor damage from when we rode over the sausage curbs when we had to take evasive action. I just went in way too hot, to be honest, so yeah, not too bad. Anyway, this is now the safety car restart, and you see we're being challenged by Albon once again, as we were towards the chicane on lap 1. But I think we're going to be able to hold him off for now, but yeah, as soon as we get through to the sort of where we put the power down, it feels like the AI have so much more traction out of that chicane than I do. I was getting out-dragged by people left, right and centre pretty much all race down there. That's a theme that will continue for a lot of this race. I just yeah, can't compete with the cars around me through that one particular corner. We're now being challenged by Tsunoda a little bit, but he's not going to look into it too much by the looks of things, at least not yet. And we'll see what happens. Lap 6 now, and Tsunoda's fallen off a little bit. He's given way to Stroll, in fact, who's now sort of our key challenger at this stage of the race. Albon and Hamilton are escaping a little bit up the road. We just about managed to defend from Stroll there as we come into the, I think that's the Ascari chicane, isn't it, that one? I don't really know the names of a lot of the corners, but yeah, I think that's the Ascari chicane. But Stroll does fight us back as we come down to the Curva Alboreto, or Parabolica, as most people prefer to call it. And we, I think, are going to have DRS on him. I think it's been re-enabled by this point. Yep, it has. And we've got the battery, and we've got the slipstream. We're a rocket ship compared to him, and this is going to be good enough for us to get ahead of him. Oscar Piastri coming in for an uncharacteristically early stop. I don't know if he's trying to go to the end or what's going on there, but yeah, I guess we'll have to see what happens with that. I mean, to be fair, I think I'm pitting in the next few laps. I'm not sure exactly which lap it is. I think it's lap 10. So maybe he can get to the end, but I wonder if he had some contact or something like that. We will have to wait and see. Yeah, so Stroll is still sort of putting pressure on us, but we did manage to get back ahead of him after he overtook us into the Parabolica. But you know, we still might face more challenges from him as we come back round to the sort of final sector of the circuit once again. It's such a quick lap here. It feels like it goes so much like faster than on a lot of circuits. It's basically a carbon copy of last lap. He challenges us into the Ascari chicane, but he doesn't have the balls to sort of commit to the move through it, so we managed to overtake him around the outside. But once again, as we come down this straight towards Parabolica, he gets us. The only difference is that I think he did it on the inside last lap and does it on the outside on this occasion. But we'll see if we can get him back once again like we did last time. And yeah, we're a little bit further back on this occasion actually. The slipstream doesn't seem quite so potent, but with DRS, slipstream, battery, this is actually our pit lap. I thought it was lap 10, but it's not, it's lap 8. So Piastri pitting lap 7 is not too crazy. Yeah, we just about managed to get back ahead of Stroll. I don't doubt that he's going to have some traction. Yep, look at that. Genuinely nothing I could do there. I don't know what the reasoning for that is, but there's not much I can do. Anyway, there's a yellow flag up front, and we're going to see what's going to happen here. There's a lot of cars. There's a massive pile up. I'm going through ghosts like crazy, and yeah, I I don't know what happened there. Some kind of incident. There's a few cars out of the race, including Kevin Magnussen. I'm not sure who else DNF'd as a result of that, but we definitely got ahead of a few Hasses. I think a McLaren or two, a Mercedes of Hamilton, obviously. Ocon was another car that was involved in that. There was a Red Bull, I guess. We made up a bunch of positions. I think we're in P13 before that, and now we're in P7. And there's a safety car, which is perfect because this is a lap we were going to pit anyway, and it means that we basically get a free stop under safety car, and no matter where we come out, we won't have to pit again. And if anyone chooses to stay out, we are going to be guaranteed finishing ahead of them in this race because we're going to have a basically 20-second advantage over them. But a lot of people do come in, including Perez, including Alonso. Perez actually went onto hards. I guess he's going to the end. I don't know if Alonso is going to do the same thing. I think we're still planning on going onto mediums. I guess anyone who started on mediums and wants to pit on this lap has to go onto hards because softs aren't going to make it to the end. And there's no point going on a set of another mediums. You might as well just stay out in that case. So yeah, that's kind of thrown a spanner in the works for anyone who started this race on mediums. Although we did actually go on to hards in the end rather than mediums. So I guess we changed the strategy last minute. Maybe they were a bit worried about the idea of the mediums doing 20 laps. I think it would have been fine personally, but it's too late now to worry about that. Here we are at the sort of point where the safety car is about to restart, and we're in P11, but I don't doubt some of these cars are probably gonna pit again. I think there's a few up front. You know, there's like an Alfa Romeo of Schwartzman, and I think Stroll and a Williams. You know, all of these guys I could foresee pitting again. Here we are as the race has actually restarted, and yeah, I think we've not really won out on this occasion. Alonso smashes his front wing on Perez and Stroll in front. And I don't know if someone else had contact there. I guess we'll have to see. And we probably will capitalise on anyone who pits as a result of damage that they picked up at turn 1. Keeping it clean is honestly the name of the game at turn 1 here, on a safety car restart or on a like an actual grid start, because there just seems to be so much chaos and carnage that happens there, like there was on lap 1 to a certain degree. I know that was at the chicane that follows, but it's still, you know, lap 1 carnage. This is not particularly typical of Monza. This is a very chaotic race, but it is typical of the AI to kind of go for dodgy moves such as this one that they've been going for throughout most of this race. We take a bit more floor damage on this occasion, and the diffuser takes a bit of a hit. We've also got a track limits warning and all that kind of bad stuff that we don't want to see. We'll see who can pit at the end of this lap. I think looking at Alonso and how slow he is through the Parabolica, I can only assume he's coming in, which is why I've made the asinine decision to go up the inside of him there when I knew he was probably going into the pits. I think that was Perez that pitted as well. So we move up into P9. I think Stroll here and Latifi and Schwartzman and maybe also Tsunoda still have to box. We'll see if anyone ahead of them is planning to box as well, and we'll see where that leaves us. There's a yellow flag. I don't know if there was contact there involving the McLaren, Ferrari and Mercedes and Alfa Romeo that were all in front of us, but a ton of cars are coming in here, including Leclerc, Russell, Schwartzman, Tsunoda, and we're now out into P3. And Sainz and Norris are on medium compound tyres. I'm not sure if they've stopped or not, but if they haven't, we are in the net lead of this race at the moment. So we'll see what happens with that. It also means, if they haven't stopped, that Albon, Joe, and Piastri are running in the top 5. The top 5 is going to be me, Hamilton, Albon, Joe, Piastri. That would be a turn up for the books, wouldn't it? Here we are now as we come on the run down to the Parabolica. We're being challenged by Hamilton, and Hamilton is going to get in front of us as Albon, Joe, Piastri closes up. I think Vettel is slightly further behind, and then maybe that's Verstappen in the distance. But yeah, this is a real mix-up here compared to what maybe the pecking order that we're used to in races like this. We'll see if we can get Hamilton back into the first corner, into the chicane. We've got the DRS. He will have none of it. And yeah, we do manage to just about get him back, although he brakes a little bit later than we do, and that is going to allow us to or that's going to allow him to sort of stay in the fight. We do manage to get past because he has to take a slightly compromised line through the first chicane. However, with the traction and with the general overall better top speed of the Mercedes, you can see that he's hit us pretty hard where it hurts. Albon also trying to do the same thing. We're going to challenge him back into the chicane a little bit, and yeah, he has to go over the curbs a bit, and that allows us to get back ahead of him for now, but I'm sure that he's going to challenge us again as we go through the course of these next few laps. Remember we've got that floor damage. Remember, we're not very good around here to begin with. It's just it just doesn't happen for us, I don't think, around here, unfortunately. Not on this occasion. I think if we hadn't picked up that floor damage, maybe we'd be a bit more competitive, but you know, we can dream as Albon goes through once again, and now we're under pressure from Zhou Guanyu in this race. And you'll see we're on lap 16. We've moved forward a little bit. Vettel, I think, has caught up to Piastri. There's still a Red Bull and Alpine a little bit further back, and I think Zhou's going to challenge us as we come on the run down to the chicane. We'll see if we can get ahead. Wow, he actually went for a bit of a decisive move there, and that kind of caught me off guard. I'm not used to the AI being as all in as that, in a way that actually kind of made sense. It did compromise his run through the chicane, but I couldn't really find a way through. We will have the DRS, and we have enough battery to fight him here, so I think we're probably going to get him back as we come on the run up to the Shikari Escape. Yeah, sure, that's what it's called now. We do just about get him back, and we're ahead, but I get the feeling that that's not the last we're going to be seeing of him. Lap 17, and it's going to be a carbon copy of what happened before, I imagine. Zhou has the superior traction. You see he's closing me down at a rate of knots. I'm not going to be able to hold him off. You know, he's only a 10th back. Piastri's been overtaken by Vettel now, and yeah, Zhou gets ahead once again, but this time I'm wise to his tricks, and I managed to just about get him back as I exit the chicane by having the superior exit compared to him. And that, kids, is a masterclass in why you don't compromise your run through multiple corners just to make an overtake, because they'll just get you straight back after it. Now here we are, lap 18. Are we going to see the three-peat of this battle with Zhou? I think we are. Here he goes again, and he goes through. Let's see if we can get him back. Latifi is out of the session. We'll see what happened to him in a second. Gutted for him. And yeah, Zhou this time has a much better exit through the chicane, and that allows him to stay P3 for the time being. Piastri is losing out. I think he's down in P8 now. It would be awesome if he could hold on to the points, but he's still got basically 9.5 laps that he's got to hold off the pack behind. We've got the DRS in this position once again as we come on the run to the Ascari chicane, not the Shikari Escape. We make the move work, and we're back up into P3. This is a crazy battle for the podium, which is emerging between myself and Zhou Guanyu. Here we are on board with Latifi. Here's what happened to him. You see he just starts slowing down as he comes through the parabolica. I think it's an engine failure. You see the smoke pouring out of the back of the car there, and that's a disappointing way for his race to end. I'm not sure if he was running in the points, but with how chaotic this race has been, I wouldn't count anyone out. If I'm not counting Piastri out, I'm not counting anyone out of scoring points in this race. Here comes Verstappen now on lap 23. We've moved on a bit. Zhou's fallen behind the likes of Ocon and Verstappen as well. And we're going to try and challenge Max Verstappen back. We've got a pretty good exit from the parabolica. We've got a little bit of battery to burn. We've got a little bit of DRS, which we can use on this occasion because we went through the detection point behind him, and that is going to be enough to keep him behind for now. But yeah, he's a hard charger, and I mean, having started P12, he's definitely going to want to capitalize as much as he can on this opportunity to make up points on Leclerc if he possibly can. I don't know where Leclerc is in this race. Oh my god, I hope Albon doesn't DNF. I know that he's a championship rival and I probably shouldn't be rooting for him, but you know, seeing him up in P2, that would be his best finish in Formula 1. So you can see why I might be rooting for him on this occasion, especially because I know I can't catch him. Verstappen has definitely overtaken us at this point. You know, he's so far ahead. I don't think I'm going to be able to get him into the chicane. I'm going to have a go, though. You can see we make the dive bomb happen. We go over the curbs a little bit, and somehow we actually managed to make that move work. I think Max Verstappen might have made a bit of contact with us there. There's a yellow flag at the chicane. I'm not sure who that's for. It's Sebastian Vettel. He's out as well. Here comes Max Verstappen. He's going to challenge us back into the second of the chicanes on the lap. We're going to go through the corner. That's definite contact. You can see I was drifting through that corner because of how much he hit me. That's probably going to be damage for Verstappen if I had to guess, and we'll see if he starts to fall. But yeah, he's falling away massively now, and as we come to the end of the lap, that's going to be him going into the pits. So yeah, really weird decision for him to challenge me as hard as he did there, but maybe he thought that I had more room to give him than I in fact did. And we're going to be retaining P3 for now. There's a duel between Ocon and Sainz for this final, for 4th place, and that's allowing me to escape them a little bit. Ocon is not going to have DRS on this occasion, but remember, I'm not particularly fast. I don't have a flaw basically at this point. I've run out of battery for the most part, and I'm going to need to harvest it in some opportune places. I'm not getting good traction or exits out of basically any of these corners. I am in no man's land. Ocon has basically closed up a full second to me on a section of track that doesn't even give you DRS. That's an indictment of the sad state in which I find myself in this race currently. He's going to challenge us as we come into these sections of right-handers. We just about keep him behind on this occasion. We're going to keep him behind again, and I'm going to really have to hope that my battery holds out for the rest of this race. It was at 35% at the start of this the start of this straight, so it's not guaranteed, but maybe we can just about hold him off. We'll see. We come through the Ascari chicane now. I almost did it again. And yeah, we're just about keeping him behind. I'm burning my battery as we come on the straight on the run down to the curve at Alboreto, the Parabolica, whatever you want to call it. I just want to get there first. That's all I want to do on this occasion. It would be amazing to hold off the podium. I think Hamilton has won the race at this point, but yeah, we've got a tiny bit of battery left. I think Ocon is just not going to pip us, and that's back-to-back podiums for us. Oh my god, I'm out of breath after that, and my voice is gone. That was a stressful end to the race with how much Ocon was closing us down. We get back-to-back driver of the day as well. Actually, I don't think we got driver of the day in the Dutch Grand Prix, but we got driver of the day, and we got the P3.
Italian Grand Prix, an historic race and an achievement they can be immensely proud of. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
Well, you know what they say, to finish first you have to finish. And that fact was clear today, with lots of retirements having a big effect on the outcome of the race. As a driver, you tend to keep reliability concerns to the back of your mind and just focus on what's in front of you. But for the teams, races like this can be very stressful.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take the top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
Big props to Albon for that P2. Big props to myself for that P3 after starting 13th. Hamilton started 9th and Albon started 15th or 14th, I don't remember, one of the two. So that this is the podium speaks to how much of a crazy race this must have been. Leclerc was nowhere to be seen, Verstappen was nowhere to be seen, Perez was nowhere to be seen, Norris was nowhere to be seen. All of the championship protagonists were absolutely nowhere. Even Russell really wasn't anywhere to be seen. Yeah, Norris 6th, Leclerc 8th, Russell 9th, Perez 10th, Piastri just falls out of the points again. Gutted.
I have to give it to Robinson. There was a lot going on all down the field, but they were the only one who I really felt maximised their potential.
Let's move on to the constructors. The lead at the top comes down after a strong weekend from the challenging pack. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
6 DNFs, including Schumacher, Ricciardo, Magnussen, Vettel, Latifi and Gasly. Vettel actually got classified in the end because he was close enough to the end. Let's watch back some of the highlights from that. That was actually one of the most insane races I think I've been part of in terms of just like the sheer amount of chaos that there was. I think that honestly rivals the Mexican Grand Prix from last season. If you've watched that one, if you haven't, I would recommend going and watching that one if you're looking for other content to watch, because that one I won't spoil what happened, but only 13 cars finished that race. Quite a crazy one really, as we managed to pick up our first points in Formula One on that occasion, which was quite a remarkable thing. We'll see that crash again and that evasive action I had to take. Pierre Gasly sits stranded at the outside of that corner. And I mean, yeah, I'd noticed a trend. Every time we finished on the podium in the very next race, we didn't make it into Q3. Was typically the trend. It happened with Miami, where we failed to even make it out of Q1. I think we qualified last in Spain. It happened with Baku, where we finished, I think it was like 14th in qualifying in Canada after that. And then here again, after we got the win in Holland, we didn't even make it into Q3 on this occasion. And somehow we managed to battle our way back onto the podium. I think that's definitely the best podium I've had so far, because it came from so far outside of the top 3 compared to the other ones I've had. You know, Holland, I think I qualified 4th, right? And then Baku, I think I qualified 3rd, and Miami, I qualified 2nd. So those were a bit more understandable. There's the melee of the pile up at the chicane on lap 8. You see, my car was already pretty broken by this point as well. I'm sure I'm going to get very few bonuses for keeping my car clean or whatever. But it's fine. We can worry about those when we've got a car that can just check out of the race, a la Sebastian Vettel 2013. And then we can work on upgrading the personnel facilities so that we can stop doing that, because our teammate will be too OP to just sort of let us win lying down. Also, one thing that can happen when we play on the settings we're on, with the AI having increased cash and acclaim and resource points and all that stuff, and us having reduced, is that quite often they can cap their development, like they can max out their upgrades at some point, and that will allow us to like have a competitive season pretty much the whole way through. I hope, at least. We did outperform George Russell in the end with the podium finish. That means that we're still tied with him in the rivalry, but anything can happen. So we will have to wait and see how things finish up with that. We get a massive boost to our acclaim, as does Piastri for finishing 11th. And we're very close to team acclaim level 19 on this occasion. Obviously still a long way off 25, but I think we can get there soon enough. Next up, I think, is Singapore. You don't want to miss that one. It's going to be chaos, I'm sure. It always is. And that's going to be it for this video. So if you enjoyed, which I hope you did, make sure you like and subscribe and check out the other videos in this series. And hopefully I will see you in the next one.